Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
Freak. God damn. Even with... How do I explain this? It's dated. That is for sure. It's low budget. That is also for sure. But what they do with their budget in that time period where, everyone can't just get their hands on CGI like that, right? Or like that everyone can't just have Adobe Premiere just create a fucking super digital looking world, wherever the fuck, CGI monsters, wherever the fuck. I'm going to call this movie excellent. I think I'm going to call it excellent. It needs a facelift. They should throw money at this guy and let him make like even more of what he was envisioning, or just make a sequel. I don't know. And that's not the money grabbing sequel bullshit where every movie needs a sequel. I mean, legitimately, if you gave this guy a budget and he can hire, the actors did all right. They're not great. Some were better than others. But you could tell, like, those not the greatest actors in the world. Give him a budget with his hand-picked selection of actors and cinematographers and all that shit. I mean, he could do the cinematography, to be honest with you, but you know what I mean? Like, guys with fucking professional cameras and all that shit. I'd be curious. Man. Because the story I got, like I said, I thought this movie felt like it was 2.5 hours long, like an epic or something. It was only an hour 46, meaning they made an entire world come to life with fucking shoestrings. And that's what story can do for you, or an interesting story. And, there would be people from this era, or even probably maybe younger kids that are born after this movie even came out, right? 2009, this movie came out, called Ink, that I'm reviewing right now. They'd have a lot of eyesores happening for them because of the aesthetics. But if you see what they're doing with what they have, I'm like, oh no, I get what you were going for with that. I get it. Like, I get it. You weren't trying to recreate, bullet time from the Matrix, right? They weren't doing that. Because then, it would be like, oh, you're trying to copy someone because it's a cool looking thing from another movie, but you don't have the budget to pull it off. So it ends up looking bad. Instead, I got what they were going for, something interesting and relatively unique. I thought the bongos were kind of weird. I think the bongos are just a little bit of a weird thing. Maybe switch that up with something else. But if they're trying to tie it to music, the melody of life, the timing of life, okay, maybe that works. I don't know. But overall, I mean, I see why I liked the movie back then, but it was a long time ago for me mentally, and I wasn't like the greatest at like being to peep things that movies are trying to do, and maybe messaging they're trying to say, or morals to the story. I mean, I look for them, 100% look for them, but maybe I miss certain things. Granted, I did enjoy the movie, and I knew, but I remember some of the plot lines. But I'm like curious with a new eye, however long later, was this fucking 15 years later? It's like, huh, you guys got something here. They genuinely have something here. And unfortunately, sorry to bring in the bad news. Unfortunately, I don't think modern film fans have an eye for shit like that. They can't see the potential of what this could be. right? All they see is, oh, look at that guy's lines. He read his lines not so good. Like, yeah, he's not Denzel, we know. But imagine, like, but the story, the core of it, and what the actor, even the actors were going for something while they were delivering lines and while they were doing certain things. It's almost like the director and the actors in this movie were just mentally locked in with each other. That's seriously either that or the director was like, "Cut, do that again. Cut, nope, do that again. Cut, nope, do that shit again." Either it's that or they were just in sync with each other, and they fucking for what they nailed it. It's just it's not Denzel locked in, right? Where it's like, oh, this guy's like a super actor and he's locked in with the director slash writer, and he's just nailing what the fuck the guy's vision was. But it's like for unknown actors, they did a good job for what they were doing, man. These aren't super actors or anything. I'm just saying, right? There's a talent gap there, but you could see where they were going. I'm like, I see fucking brilliance there. Just needs a facelift. That's all. Truly, the story I don't like. I almost want to like erase this, give this guy $100 million. Now make this movie with the same pacing, style, the subtext, the overt narrative, the plot, the little sentimental things, which people can like or dislike. It's whatever for me. It's I care more about the bigger story, and if the sentimental part plays a role in that, beautiful. Because it did in this movie. Just like Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it's about, family bonding and, different generations from the same family. And they have to learn how to, understand each other and love each other and all that stuff. Those sentimental things are added on top of the bigger exploration of the world they build. And it works perfectly together. This movie did that same thing. Those sentimental things they're not separate from the core movie. I think they are part. They are part of the core movie. Same thing with Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're a part of the main story. It's not cheesy attempts at pulling heartstrings. Like, it was the story itself. It's just you add these layers to it to where like you can see that when the guy hugs his wife or hugs his daughter, it has all these other layers stacked on top of it from the movie. So it isn't just dad hugging kid and they're crying together. It's dad hugging kid and they're crying, but there's a whole underneath story that's attached to it. That's what gives it fucking real life to me. I'm saying fucking brilliance, man. I'm saying brilliance. It needs a facelift. 100%. Get some big time actors in here. Get some whatever. Work on the effect. Keep the core of the effects, but give them like a facelift, right? I get what they were going for with these characters or these fucking goons, right? With the fucking plexiglass over their face and shit like that. And when you take the plexiglass off, their eyes are just made of light. And the main guy has these dark fucking evil black eyes, and they turn purple, and it's like distorting from one thing to another. It's like kind of human, but not really human. Like, I get what you were going for with that. Like, keep that core element to the aesthetics. It's just, you can even make those even look better. I think they got something here. It's just, this movie's from 2009. I'm sure the writer-director kind of disappeared, didn't really have much success or whatever. Who knows? I can't say I know. But I see potential for brilliance. Maybe it's a flash in the pan, a one-hit wonder type of thing. Maybe the guy kept making movies and they just weren't as good as this one. Maybe. I could believe that. But that does not take away what this fucking movie is, in my opinion. And yes, it is a kid's movie. I think kids should be able to watch this movie. Yes, there's action and violence and curse words and shit like that, but like, is that what we really mean by protecting our kids? Like, not really. At least I hope not, because there's bigger dangers in the world than curse words and fake action scenes where they're literally like imaginary characters fighting each other. Or well, not imaginary, but metaphysical. What do we call them? In between worlds, hither and thither, something like that. And there's some darker ideas, suicide, death. But maybe not for everyone's kids. But for me as a kid, no problem for me. No fucking problem for me. So, I'm not going to say kids movie, because just in case a parent hears this and they're like, all right, let's watch this movie. And then they're covering their kids' eyes the entire time and plugging their ears. Pause. But yeah, the core of this movie is excellent. I just see it there, man. I'm giving a full-blown recommendation. 100% recommend. 100% recommend. Score? Man. It needs a facelift. It does, man. It needs a facelift. It really needs one. It needs, like, upgrades and damn near every area. Not to say that the core of it was bad. I'm saying the core of what was happening, it was good. The directing, the acting, the cinematography, the core of it, what they were going for. Like, you could see it's like, yes, that's good. That's very good, actually. It's just, it need to be upgraded, for, I guess, modern audiences or whatever. But it's still, I smell excellence here. I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I did not expect that. I did not, I kind of vaguely remember the movie and shit like that. I know there's, like, woo-woo shit all up in there. I remember stuff like that. And I even referenced the TikTok thing before. Oh, the TikTok guy. Where one thing happened, a chain reaction of events. We can't really see the origin of it. The TikTok of life. Not the China brand. Not China TikTok. But, the idea of, like, a clock, and then the rhythmic motions of sounds of a clock, right? And then people and their actions becoming rhythmic, and then when you see them all making music together, you can kind of see the TikTok of life happening. That's kind of what I mean. If you smell them cooking. But, yeah, I still, at the core, I see excellence there. I really do. I'm actually surprised. Anyone else want to say anything? I'm not saying anything about the movie. I'm not trying to, whatever. I'm trying to, plot spoil or anything. I'm just enjoyed it.
No spoilers in this one?
No, you can spoil if you want. I'm just saying. For me
Okay.
personally, I don't feel the need to. I'm just saying. I recommend go watch it. 8 out of 10.
I have to disagree.
What do you think?
Well, mainly I don't want a remake. It's like I don't take away any points for the dated low budget. Like for me, I loses nothing on this.
Okay.
I was slightly confused in the beginning. Like mainly right after the dreams, like the people visiting the dreams. I kind of was expecting a nightmare scenario, because there's nice dreams. Like, okay, what's going to be the contrast to this? What is that space? But then
Yep.
we were going through his life, and actually, it took me a second to even realize it was the same guy who was in a car accident. But then, okay, after that, we're walking through his life, and it all kind of connected. And so I figured out halfway through that this guy was the same guy. Like that the nose is just the way he sees himself. Because it was also like so exaggerated that it's that to me was an early signal that this is just a perception. Um, it's not the actual character.
Okay.
and and I found the main character, and this is probably not a good thing, but I really saw myself in the main character. Like I found him so relatable, which is good for a movie, but it really made me think about things too. Like the things that
Mhm.
it was trying to tell you. The movie was trying to tell you.
Okay.
There was, like I think it was a lot about the choices made, like well, in his life, like the kids taunting his poorness or whatever, obsessive like commitment to work, uh, is like how he um, kind of became like that. That those things are like his, like the pieces of his life, and
Yeah.
like he suffered a lot with the loss of his wife, and then like the family took away his daughter. All these things were just things that really like uh really brought him a lot of internal suffering.
Hmm.
And and there's also a lot of like you're for a while you're walking through the girls, like her path, and all of it is the visuals, like the tunneling and the shadowy figures, and it's just kind of being led through this. All of that to me was about like fears,
Mm.
and I liked like the whole thing was like they're walking. And usually I would not like that. Like I wouldn't want to just walk through something like that. But here it it worked with the characters. Like you're definitely walking through a story. And I like the character like um well I the one about the timing, it was called Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Um he can mean a lot of different things. For me, he represented cause and effect and like consequences. But
Hmm.
he could take on various different like meanings as well. But he um in the main character he narrated parts of his life while he was going through it, and his own like present view of it. He was adding these words, and at first I didn't know like okay who's whispering these words, but it was his own reflections on some things that he currently now with his new understanding doesn't have the same value that it did when he made those decisions. So
Okay.
um, I did have a kind of a question at the end that I wasn't completely sure of, which I didn't really, which is fine, but like I was kind of in a dual space of okay, this guy's ending, or at least how he became that
The ink.
disfigured.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and you actually see him. You see him become that.
Yep.
Um, so that scene, on the one hand, I'm thinking, okay, that is actually where the whole movie ends, and then everything else kind of fills in. Or, but there's the other scene which conflicts with that, which is at the bedside of the daughter, and and
Hmm.
uh and possibly that's the real path, and maybe he saw ahead and reversed, like made a different choice. I didn't see too much of like uh, I didn't see too much of the story going in multiple paths, like Mr. Nobody. He goes through all the paths, and he returns to make the choice.
Yeah.
What I think that actually meant, the the original transformation, I think that was all just more like his internal self. Like at one point, he just basically killed himself, and
Yeah.
he cut off parts of his life. Like you could see him when he was speaking um, to the girl's grandfather.
Yeah.
He completely like severed things off, and he made a choice to no longer continue with various people in his life. And
Hmm.
so I think that was actually more symbolic. I wasn't really sure while I was watching it, but um, yeah, I really couldn't recommend this more. Yeah.
Well, on that note, they played with color with the coloration. They played with it. So when he was going through, like, let's say he made the choice to not, he went to go to the business meeting instead of, going to his daughter, right? And you can see the tint turn like green, right? The screen almost, or
Mhm.
like the coloration, I guess implying like that was a possible route. But because of that possibility of a route, it was also, I think, a part of his internal self. Like maybe he doesn't have, you know, the foresight of it, but part of him does have that like if like making this choice means this type of thing. Like, and he has that internal foresight to recognize what life would be. Like he knows when he was arguing with the dad, right? Or
Mhm.
his ex-wife's dad. Like he knows, man. Right? He like deep down loves that little girl, right? And loved his wife. But, you know, almost like a prideful stance to like, you don't want me in her life? Like, this is what you asked for. And dad's like, it's not about us, you fucking idiot. It's about the little girl. It's about your daughter. It ain't about us. But they mentioned pride several times in there, in the movie.
Mhm.
And he was willing to go through this, or part of him, at least, was willing to go through this shield type of thing where he's just building more armor on top of himself of this kind of pseudo individual, right? He was doing all that work of dragging the storyteller and his daughter to these fucking bad guys for the sake of getting his appearance back, right? They're gonna make him not look ugly and scarred anymore, but it's gonna be like a superficial version, kind of like the way those
Yeah.
guys moved around, like superficial aesthetics almost, the way these guys
Yeah.
looked. So
That makes sense. Yeah.
that's the way I interpreted it, at least. I'm thinking it was like it's a path he knows he's on, which is it turns green and it's like, oh fuck, I'll go to the board meeting, we'll all share champagne, but life will get, my suffering will increase. My suffering will increase, and in that mindset, when he's like the ink guy, like, oh, it's too late, I can't do, nothing can help me, nothing can save me, right? Type of thing. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
doomed to be this thing now. Uh, Not realizing that the thing that makes him him, or one of the things that makes him him, like his love for his daughter, was right next to him that entire time. Right? He's literally dragging her around all over the place, like literally.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Except,
people can come up with a bunch of different interpretations, but go ahead.
but yeah, that yeah, what you just said make a lot of sense there. Except, um, except that like when he was arguing, yeah, of course he was being prideful, where he was cutting off what he wanted, but um, he also mentioned that like they didn't allow him to see his daughter. I mean, he might have just been saying that too, but
No,
it looked
no.
like
When he was down, before he became the super businessman, before that, when his wife died, he was having alcohol and drug abuse issues. Right? They showed the scene in the courtroom where they denied him custody because of his substance abuse and shit like that. And then he was like, "You guys kept her away from me." Like that's part of. I think that's what he was talking about. I think. Pretty sure.
um. So the substance abuse happened before. That I wasn't sure when I was watching. Like if it happened before or
There's several moments of it. Like
after.
when he was
Okay.
getting good at his job, right? He was celebrating every night, going out getting drunk, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're the toast of the fucking town," right?
Yeah.
And he'd come
Yeah.
home and his wife be like, "You're out drinking again?" Like blah 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 blah. And
Uh.
then something happened. I assume like a car accident or something. Maybe he was driving. I don't know. I don't know. Like maybe he was like inebriated. He was fucking drunk and was driving and got in an accident and she fucking died from it. And then
Yeah. You see her in the ambulance there. That's where
yeah,
he was there.
yeah. And then after she dies, he maybe they like he was tested that night or something, or you know
Mhm.
something where they found out about his drug abuse. Maybe the fucking uh the in-laws knew or found out or whatever and told the judge that, and that's why they were like, "Yo, we want custody because this guy got our daughter killed by fucking drinking and driving or whatever."
Yeah.
They should
It's like
probably
the,
write. They shouldn't be like letting me do that. They should probably have some writing in there for that, for plot's sake, because it's
yeah,
not really some great symbolism there. It's just like why, like how did this all really happen? They kind of just showed it in like almost like flashes, kind of.
yeah,
But, yeah, they probably should have wrote that in there, to be honest. That's my
yeah.
assumption.
Well, I mean, it didn't seem like it was like a malicious thing. It. I guess it was that he fucked up, so that's why
Yeah,
they kept they separated him.
and then yeah, they probably the in-laws probably were like, "Yo, we want the kid. This guy can't handle it. He's not responsible enough." They actually just kept her away from him, thinking like he's just on drugs or drunk all the time or whatever. And he cleaned his life up, and he still wasn't allowed to be around him, be around the girl, possibly. Who knows? And then he became, Mr. Big Shot. And now he's like, "Yo, fuck you, man." I don't know. I know. Should have wrote that in. Wrote that in. But yeah, fucking beautiful movie, man. That was fucking well made, man. That made me feel good. Like, yes, this was fucking worth it, man. God damn. I don't even know what made me think of it. I said it the other day. I was like, I want to play this kids movie called Ink. Not, I guess,
I don't
kind of
know
not really a
why
kids
you
movie.
call it kids movie.
I think it's a kids movie, man. Like the core
Like the lesson.
essence, the core essence. Yes, the core moral lessons and the essence of the story is like
Okay.
ideas of regret and shit. Like, I know it's darker; those are darker ideas. But should we be full blown hiding that from children? I don't
No,
think so.
no, not
But
at all.
maybe some of the adult themes in here would be scary for people. Right? There's nothing sexual going on. It was like normal love or sadness and depression, but like maybe the suicide stuff would be too much for a kid. Not for me as a kid, but maybe for most parents and the way and what they want to show their kids. But I don't know. In my mind, I always viewed it as just like a kid, like not as a kiddie movie, but like
Y-
a sentimental movie, or dad bonding with their child and shit like that, or their love for their kid, and I think that's beautiful. And I don't think that's and there's like fantasy elements where there's like muses that look over kids and make sure, like, try to help them, like, be inspired to do something better with their lives. Or there's like the storyteller chick, right? Who's like, I assume she's almost like a writer of dreams and shit like that. Or maybe she just knows everyone's story and she can like point out, like, these are the beautiful things about you. I never lost sight of you. Like, you have beauty within you, but if you choose this path, this is what goes on. Like, but it's not too late. You can fucking, get shit right, you know?
She's the Oracle that we just watched.
There you go. Yeah. Like, there are all these characters, like, archetypal, like, elements of, like, you know, from muses to dreams to nightmares to fucking, like you said, cause and effect. Like, there's all these, like kind of elements that these characters represent, and it's fucking beautiful. That's what makes me think of, like, kids, because it's, like, kind of fantastical and fantasy styled. But I think telling something kind of real and grounded at the same time, which I don't think kids get enough of. But, that's not trying to raise anyone else's kid. I'm just saying, like, I would have loved this as a kid if I could, somewhat understand it. Right? I would have loved it.
Well,
But,
the theme of regrets are about like it is always a warning, right? Because actual regret is something that is maybe by definition it's like too late. So
yeah,
when you portray regret, it it's to kind of do that before you get to that step.
Yeah.
And yeah, so um, a lot of how he lived his life, or the ambitions that he has, they're they seem to me uh, like the goals he has are somewhat aspirational things. Like you'll on a regular basis hear to do these things, or at least I do.
Yeah.
I hear I hear to do exactly the decisions that he's made. I hear it all the time, and
Yeah.
so it's I don't know. Obviously I've heard both kinds of things, and it's just kind of a reminder. But it's um yeah, I think it's this. I just I think it's a great story to that. Well, I think the reason I brought that up was um w- thinking of it as a kid story. I don't fully know how much like like the girl's journey. I mean, they do put it a lot in the little girl's perspective too. Or
Yeah.
even yeah, the way that the storyteller talked to her, and told her to be a lion, and all these things are talking to that little girl
Yeah.
um, element. So that child is there, but maybe there's two stories here. I don't know. They're um, the regret part. I think it it connected a lot to me. Maybe like after a certain point. I don't know. I think like career wise is somewhere where that might click more. Um, I don't know how much that is thought about as much like before you're like working.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. Well, the idea, like, it could have been anything where a guy just
Mm.
gets obsessed with something, like he like super duper ambitious to where now you're almost remaking, like he was almost remaking his like personality around the success of
Mhm.
like I go to the fucking bar with the boys. I just sold 1 million fucking shares, man. Like he's becoming the fucking guy, right? And he wants to shake hands with the bigwigs and all that shit. Which like I don't think there's nothing wrong with ambition. I don't think they were saying there was anything wrong with ambition. It's just he was
Mhm.
losing track of those people that are very close to him. That's where the warning was, and I think anyone can understand that, with or without,
Mhm.
you know, uh, any type of career or job or whatever the fuck. So, but I get your point too. I get your point too, as far as how maybe like, yeah, adults would probably relate more to that lesson, and kids are a little bit more. Like I said, I'm not saying like fucking toddlers, but like kids, like
Yeah. Well, I guess they would relate like maybe parents and work in the absence of like why aren't they around? Well they gotta work. Okay. I guess that's all there too.
yeah. yeah. Maybe I mean, okay, I'll basically take back the idea of a kids movie, but I think there are plenty of kids that could handle this. I
Yeah.
truly believe that.
Yes.
And like,
Handle it. Yeah. I don't think that the only scene. Yeah, of course the gunshot, but like it actually could have done a little less like explicit on that part. But I mean, I think it was fine. Um,
yeah,
Other than that, I don't. Uh, it's just a well told story. I think.
yeah. Oh, well, yes, very well told story, and a kind of a throwback style too, where it's like they're not. It's not about the. I don't know. It feels like in a lot of some modern type stuff, they need to throw like something at you to get your attention, and usually it's pure gore, violence, or tits and ass or something like that. Like something to grab your attention to make you lock into the movie. This went for like oh well, what are these guys? Why are they like watching over bedsides of all these? Like, what the fuck is going on there? Are these flash dancers? What are they doing in this neighborhood? What's going on here? And then you can clearly see they're talking about like they show dreams, right, of the people. And then you ask the question while we're watching it, like, well, there must be like a bad version of this, right? Because people have nightmares. Not everyone has good dreams or whatever. They show that element. Like, okay. So you're saying a world that's inside and outside of our world or something like that. Like maybe you're going with that writer director. Got it. And it's like they did world building instead of weed, I don't know. Sydney Sweeney to do a backflip, then her tits pop up or some shit like that. Like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Zoom into the movie now. It's lock in. Right? Even The Dark Knight wasn't so subtle. They were just like, bam, here we go. We're in a fucking heist. Off rip. And like, I'm not saying it's, starting off exciting is a bad thing. I'm just saying usually they go for something a little bit more less dreamy and more hard hitting to get your fucking attention, right? Which is like more of like a classical, I think, style movie, right?
Well, it kind of started out with, I mean, what to me got the ball rolling was the car accident.
Yes.
That's probably the punch.
Well, there
And
it is.
yeah, and it was done in that. I mean, I've seen it in a few other, I think a music video, a few movies where you're just like you're in a close up, you don't see it. It's a side view, and
Yeah.
like in split second. So it's supposed to really punch you in the face.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah, that's been done a million times.
yeah,
The passenger seat profile.
yeah.
Boom, car. Drive past like a van, then once you get past the van, there's a vehicle about to run into you.
That feels that kind of feels right. Even though it's been done a lot of times, it's like you don't see it coming, right? Like otherwise, you would have done something about it.
Yeah.
It's,
I crashed my car into the bridge. I don't care. All right. Any last words you want to say? Before I end this review. Yay? Nay? All right. Guess that's it. All right. There's your review for. I got blindsided by how excellent this movie was. A movie called Ink from the year 2009. Check this shit out. All right.